Second part, welcome back. Let's jump right in with 学, second tone, meaning to study. And we'll go through a few combination words that use this 学. But if you see this character in a word, you can guess that it has something to do with studies. 学, second tone. So first of all, we'll look at 学习, second tone twice. So this means study. And what's the difference between 学习 and 学, you might ask? Well, 学 is more studying in general, such as studying engineering, like you might be doing, whereas 学习 is the actual act of studying, like when you're doing your homework. So 学习, the act of studying. 学生, 学生, second tone, first tone, meaning student. And we can recognize this 生 from 先生, meaning Mr. And this 学生 is also kind of a title, so they have a lot in common. 学生, student. 同学, again, two second tones, meaning classmates. And this 同 always means something along the lines of mutual or together. And in this case, the students that you have class together with. So 同学, classmates. 学校, 学校, second tone, fourth tone, meaning school. Apart from this, there are separate words, of course, for each level, such as primary school, middle school, high school, and university. But this is the general word for school, 学校. 老师, 老师, third tone followed by first tone. 老 meaning old and 师 master. So you can see that a teacher in China is a very respected person. And indeed, it is a much more prestigious job than in many Western countries. 老师, teacher. 字, 字, fourth tone, meaning character. And this just means character in general. But if you are in China, people are going to assume that you mean Chinese characters. And most likely, you're going to be pointing at a character and asking about it when you're using this word. So, 字, character. 写, third tone, to write. Something that is practiced endlessly in Chinese schools since there are so many characters to learn. 写, write. 都, first tone. All or everything. More commonly used than all is in English, and we'll see some examples of how later on. 都, all. 看见, to see. And this does not mean, for example, to see your friends, but only to see with your eyes. And the individual characters 看 and 见, they both mean to see and can also be combined a lot. For example, in 再见, which you might remember, goodbye, where it literally means kind of to see again. 能, second tone, meaning can or to be able to, also can be to be allowed to. And actually very similar to how you use the word can in English, which can also mean to be allowed to in itself. So 能, second tone, can be able to or allowed to. 工作, 工作, first tone, fourth tone, meaning to work. A great word to add to your list that can be used for small talk. So 工作, work. So we looked at the word for teacher, and the next occupation we're going to look at is 医生, 医生, meaning doctor. A very important word to know, which you never know when you might need to shout out. So try to learn this word, 医生. And again, we have this 生, which is for titles. And to the left, we have 医, which is used in many medical words, such as hospital or medical school. 医生, doctor. And speaking of which, hospital. 医院, first tone followed by fourth tone. And again, the 医 for medicine to the left and 院 to the right. And this 院 is used for many place words. So if you see it, a good guess is that it's some kind of a facility, like a store, an institution, or at least some place that is limited to a building or a small area. 医院, hospital. And to be able to use the most classic conversation starter ever, this "so what do?" We need the word for do, which is 做, fourth tone, and we will learn to use it in just a little bit. Why, fourth tone, yet another preposition, and we know that we'll use it after the verb, right? But it can also be combined a lot, such as 外国人, literally meaning outside country people, which is the Chinese way of saying foreigners, or at least people from outside of China. So why outside? Lastly, we'll look at a very useful word, 听懂, first tone, third tone, meaning to understand. But in Chinese, there is some more depth to this. It is actually just 懂 that means understand, and 听 means to hear. So this 听懂 means to understand spoken language. You can then change 听 to, for example, 看, which we looked at just a minute ago, which meant to see. And then you get 看懂, which means to understand written language, because you use your eyes instead of your ears to understand. So let's go through some sentences that actually make use of all these new words. First of all, the conversation starter that I talked about, 你做什么工作? You do what? Work. What do you work with? 你做什么工作? Next up, this structure with 都 all that I was talking about. We have a list of things, and then 都 to kind of clump them together, and then a description of them all that is common for them. So we have 瑞典, 德国, 都很冷. Sweden, Germany, all very cold. And this doesn't have to be just two. In this case, we translate it to both, but it can be numerous things of whatever it is, and then a description afterwards that is the same for all of them. And we use 都 to kind of clump them together. 哥德堡有没有医院? So Gothenburg hasn't, the same structure from last week with the two alternatives that you can choose from. 医院, hospital. So Gothenburg has or hasn't a hospital. And then you would answer either 有 if they have a hospital, or 没有 if they don't. So next we have a sentence where we see how Chinese people always prefer to describe as much as possible before really telling us what they're gonna do. So we have 我们在办公室要开会. So we 在 at, in this case, 办公室 office, we at the office, 要 are going to, 开会 have a meeting. So all the descriptions before, who we're going to do it and where we're going to do it, and then the verb. So we are going to have a meeting at the office. Next up, a great question if you want to practice your Chinese. You just say, 你说中文吗? 你说中文吗? So 你 you 说 speak 中文 Chinese 吗 question mark. So do you speak Chinese? And lastly, great if you don't understand something someone is saying, you just say 我听不懂 我听不懂 I don't understand, and hopefully they can repeat in some easier fashion. That's all for this week, and as usual, see you in class.